Afternoon. How are we all doing? Afternoon, Michael, Crom, Christian, Alex, David, Blue Trader. Afternoon from Pontevedra. Sunny, cloudy, sunny, cloudy, sunny, cloudy, sunny, cloudy. Raining in the UK. Always raining in the UK, though. So norm. Morning, Mac. Afternoon, even. Fletch, Sarah, how are we doing? So, stuff's moving. We've actually got stuff moving. US dollar, basically, and the Canadian dollar are on the move. So, a fair bit of movement going on with those two at the minute. So, US dollar yen is up. I say a fair bit of movement. We've got two ADRs, which at the moment is a pretty big move, isn't it? Something hitting ADR. So CAD Swiss ADR hit to the upside. We're very close to last week's high, which is 125 ADR. So that might be good for a short from there, or good for a short from where it is at the moment. Wait for a reversal alert on that, though, to make sure we got some sellers on board. And US dollar Swiss hit to the upside as well. Same thing. That's come straight off ADR. Look. Straight off ADR, reversal is there. So those two have hit. The Swiss franc is being sold off quite heavily. So this move that you're seeing is partly based off Swiss franc weakness and partly based off of US dollar strength. So the euro is coming down very hard against the US dollar at the minute. That smashed through. I was looking for a buy here. I was watching this in the last hour, just seeing if we can get a bounce straight through, collapsed straight through it. So didn't even get an inkling of possibly bouncing there at all. So big moves this lot. So there's your ADRs. So that's what we've got on ADR basically. Afternoon, Baggy, Virginia, Day Trader FX. How you doing? So yeah, so there's those two ADRs. Your RSIs are flat. We had two RSIs this morning. Pound New Zealand was hit to the upside. I'm short on that. I think it was Euro New Zealand, wasn't it? No, there was something else. But there's, it's nothing. We are getting movement, but nothing strong enough to get any decent movement off. Pound odds just reacting off that high at the minute. Stepping up very nicely. But not extended enough. There was a short there potentially if you took the 70 level. There was a short this morning on that one on M5 there. Look, there's your M pattern reversal. But yeah. Euro US dollar, there you go. There's your ADR. I'm just about to TP on this pound CAD short. The way this Canadian dollar's going, I'm just tempted to extend the TP on it. Because this US and CAD are pretty strong moves, but this is a good support here. Previous area we've tested. So we are slamming into it pretty hard, but I've got 5% profit on the trade. So I don't really, well, should I put a trailer on it? If I put a trailer on it, I'm just going to get stopped out on a trailer, aren't I? Afternoon, Neo. Decision. I'm trying to make a decision. My brain is ticking. I'm still ticking. What's the trailer going to be on this? 4.2%. So it's a percent. So I'm going to trail it. I'm going to get stopped out on a trailer because that's what trailing stops do. But I'll go 25 pips. Okay. So locking in 4.3%. And we'll see if we can get a run to ADR. So ADR is 7.2%. So either 4.2 or 7.2% locked in on that one. And there's that trade I took this morning on the Euro Swiss. This bounce off of these lows we looked at this morning. So took that Audi reversal. That pushed up to a nice high, and that's obviously pulling back. So still think that might get up there. So I'm going to leave that on running. Euro's really collapsed. Look, I'm not quite sure where this is coming from, this move. There's nothing in the news this morning. So nothing at all in the news this morning. So I'm not quite sure. It's just movement. So quickly looking at the news, obviously there is no news today. It's flat. So we went through the news this morning, but basically it's Aussie dollar tomorrow, pound claimant changes tomorrow, and then the main move of the day is CPI and US retail tomorrow afternoon. So that's when your day kicks off, basically. Then we've got the New Zealand dollar rates and CPI for the pound on Wednesday. So those are your two main movers on Wednesday, apart from FOMC in the evening. But the FOMC is not a press conference. It is just the meeting minutes. So quite often it's that sort of movement, and then we just wait. So I don't think there's going to be an awful lot off the back of that one. And then we got unemployment for the Aussie and for the US on Thursday. So all the news is heavily weighted really from tomorrow afternoon until Thursday. So, but no news today at all to worry about. This morning's ORB on the DAX was beautiful. Banked $2,000 on that on the CFDs. Banked $3,000 on futures on the Dow this morning on this as well. So nice break to the upside. Yeah, and then obviously it's pulled back down. So nice move. It was a very clean break this morning, straight up, straight out. Done, dusted, paid. So we'll see how we go with the US indices this afternoon. The DAX, we are doing this gap fill play at the minute. So it's pulling back quite hard now, back into this propulsion gap. But this is our target, basically, on the DAX. It's the gap fill play to the upside, which we formed 2 weeks ago. So last week we just went sideways. So looking for that gap fill move to the upside at some point this week. Haven't banked anything on here, just under that bit of DD control this morning. There's quite a bit I can bank on it. About 0.5%. But nothing, again, still nothing moving. Afternoon XR update.news. Afternoon, John. All good. Good weekend. Yeah. Didn't do much, but went out for a bike ride yesterday. Did a lot on Saturday. It's a chilled weekend this weekend. Right, 1 minute to the open. Quickly looking at potentials of upside and downside risks of today. It's pretty straightforward on the Dow, isn't it? Upside is last week's high, which is ADR. Downside is last week's low, which is ADR. So ADR hits to the upside and downside on the Dow. S&P upside. First stop really is high of the day, high of Globex, and last week's low, which is Friday's low. So Friday's low to the downside, you've got potential support. Upside, loads of room. And the same with the NASDAQ. So we are very close to Friday's low at the moment, upside, long way. So we're in this big downward descending channel at the moment. Not able to get any traction. So we'll see where we go. But we'll go with the momentum as usual and see where it takes us. So markets open. That's twice now the Dow's done this. The Dow isn't triggering for some reason. I've broken something. What have I broken in the Dow? Oh, no, that's right. It's doing what it should be doing. Pre-market ranges are not correct. Okay, fine. That's good. So the pre-market range on the Dow was too tight today. All of the pre-market ranges that I'm tested are all too tight. It's gone beautifully, though. Wish I had have. And long on the S&P and short on the NASDAQ. That's great. So hedged on those two. That's a good start, isn't it? And the Dow, if you've taken the pre-market 15 on the Dow, well done. You are 2R already. Didn't take it. I opened this up today because I was going to show you, somebody asked this morning about how to place trades on futures. So what I was going to do was trade this, and I completely forgot. I put it up and I forgot about it. I've already banked $3,000 this morning, so I've just moved this over to the practice account, basically. But all I do with the ORB, I'll place it there, is literally buy stop, sell stop. Adjust those a little bit. And get triggered. Literally that easy. All I'm doing with these. No stop loss is used. Because the stop loss is basically the opposite end of the trade, because you can't hedge in futures. So if that trigger's long, that's my stop. If that trigger's short, that's my stop. Yeah. So stop's either end because you can't hedge in the futures market. There you go. So triggered short on the NASDAQ. Nice quick $400 there if you want it. And this is why the NASDAQ is scary. Look how fast that moves and how quick that money adds up and disappears. Afternoon, Francisco. Afternoon, Brian. So that is $2,000 risk. That there. Normally I wouldn't go with 3 contracts on the NASDAQ. I'd go in with 1. That's just a little bit overkill. Anyway, just demonstrates the point. There you go. So $2,000 loss if that triggers. So that would have been around about $600 loss if it triggers. Okay. Yeah, so. But that's literally it. Someone asked, I can't remember, it was Mumo, I think. I don't even know if he's in it. Okay. But that's basically all we do with futures. Very simple. Right, so Dow's rejected the highs at the moment. This platform looks like it's frozen. Nope. Oh, it's ticking. Wow. That was weird. That was almost like the market froze there. So not really going anywhere on any of the indices at the moment. That initial Dow push was the only one that's really been profitable pre-market so far. So on the Dow, I will be playing the 5-minute ORB, although that looks like quite a big range today. Maximum range is 736. Just about inside the maximum range. Oh, another thing I'm going to show you as well today. Somebody asked me in Telegram about setting up the opening range breakout EA to hedge in the same way as this EA that I'm using here hedges. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that in a second. So if you've got the ORB EA and you want to do hedging at the open like this, I'll show you how to set it up. Very simple. Well, it's not actually very simple. Simple for me because I know how it works, but it's fairly straightforward. I'll show you. So 5-minute opening range is in on the Dow. So it's a fairly big range, but it's within parameters just. So that is just under 20% of the ADR of the Dow in that 5-minute candle. So looking for a break of that. Wouldn't want to get too greedy off of a range that big. S&P closed as a bull candle. Total indecision on the NASDAQ. A lot of volume today, but no real direction. Bit of a funny one today. So we'll leave that to run for a minute. Just want to see if that pound pad has moved. So this is my original TP here. So this would be basically my TP, which was 4.7, well, just about 5% basically. So if we break this low, watching this high here for a potential reaction. But when this candle closes in the next 25 minutes, we're going to put another propulsion gap in here. So this becomes the main seller area. And obviously we're coming down into the main area that accumulation break made. So this is where the buyers should be stepping in, which they have done twice now, but looks like they're getting totally run over today. Is that not trailing? From the ask, isn't it? I might just change that actually. 20. There's quite a big spread on this at the moment. So obviously the trailer works off the ask rather than the bid. So because it's quite a big spread, I'm just going to reduce it down so that it trails a bit tighter. Afternoon, Astro. Took and L on US 30, long and short. What? Long and short on this, on the Dow, yeah. Shouldn't be long and short on the Dow. You should have only triggered long on that. I'm short on the Dow now. And it looks like I'm about to hedge the S&P by the looks of things. This market's really struggling to actually get anywhere today. I'm quite surprised about. Afternoon, Martin. Marco. ORB triggered you both, did it? On this, on the Dow, you can't trigger both on the Dow. So the 15-minute pre-market range is there. Yeah, we opened there. We pushed down slightly and then broke high. There's no way you could trigger a short order there. Even if you were trading the 5-minute opening range, this never got anywhere near that. Unless you had a massive spread for some reason, unless they spread you in which case, change your broker. If you got spread that far at the open, you need to change your broker. It's too far, way too far. Okay, so hedged on the NASDAQ now. We are long and short, and still long on the S&P, short on the Dow. It's not going anywhere, is it? So I'll come back to that in a minute when the market's decided what the hell it wants to do. So just quickly, there's nothing to look at today. So we've got Euro US dollar that's just hit ADR as well. So there's a possible mean reversion opportunity on the Euro US dollar, though this thing is like a steam train at the moment. So I wouldn't try and get in the way of this yet. If you're going to get in, wait for a reversal alert. You can see the strength of this move, yeah? Red candles all the way, all the way. So the reversal alert is miles away. This should tell you something, yeah? If you've got a reversal alert that far away from where price is, do not get involved. Miles away. So by the time you get back up to there, you've done quarter of an ADR. It's not a good mean reversion opportunity at the moment. However, if this pushes up and then starts to accumulate, you're going to get a much tighter entry on it, which would be a good trade back up into there. But don't get in front of this at the minute because this US dollar is screaming at the moment. Pound US dollar is coming down hard as well. Obviously, the pound CAD that I'm in as well is obviously coming down very, very hard too. We're down at that weekly support still. So those are your ADRs. RSIs, there's nothing to look at today. So if you want an overview of every pair, I did that this morning in the live room. So I'm not going to go through every single pair again because obviously I did it all this morning. We went through all 28 pairs in detail, looked for support, resistance, bounce points, and analyzed them all. So if you want to have a look at, If you want to know anything about specific pairs, obviously it's all done this morning in the live room. So go and watch the replay of that. But if there's any pairs you want to look at specifically, shout them out and I'll have a look at them. My Forex fund, Sarah. Really? Shouldn't have triggered that close. Not quite sure how you would trigger. Where's my platform? You would trigger short and long. Must have been a wide spread. Very weird. I haven't got my Forex funds running at the moment here. I'm waiting for payday. Trading at the minute. Open. What's your spread on the DAX? 2. Always is 2. Max spread. Figures cancelled my euro US dollar sell earlier. Good one, AJ. Not. When you install a demo of your MetaTrader tools, what's the limitations? I don't know. Do you mean from the marketplace, Daniel? If you anything you download from the MQL5 marketplace is usable in the strategy tester. You can't use them on any trade. They're strategy tester demos, so you can use them in the strategy tester only. Right. So while we're waiting for this market to wake up, which it seems to now be doing. Thinking about it anyway. Yeah, Dow's coming down now. So Dow short it's just coming down to test the lows. So initial TP on this is 1.5 R. I would rather take 1 R, I think, on this today. Just because this propulsion gap here they've just bought the crap out of this area. They are not letting price go through that level. So if we do manage to run down into that today, I think we might well hit some buyers. So I'm just going to adjust my TP on the Dow short just to 1 R today. And then if it does break, obviously I've got a runner which goes down all the way down to 3 R. S&P and the NASDAQ, just off we go with that one. So I'm not too worried about that. So setting up the ORB EA, wrong account, for hedging. So what I've done is I've put it in the strategy tester, the opening range breakout EA. So these are the settings for if you want to set it up similar to the one that I've got running, basically. So you're not for live, looking to buy your tool. All right, okay, yeah. So anything you download from the marketplace, strategy tester. That's what it's for, testing it. If you want to use it, you buy it. Same with all marketplace tools. So if you want to do what I'm doing on the other account, what I'm doing is I'm using fixed lot sizing, okay? And you'll need to figure this out for yourself in the account that you're using, basically. So for my account, as you can see here, I'm trading 80 lots on the S&P. I'm trading 15 lots on the DAX. I'm trading 12 lots on the Dow, and I'm trading 15 lots on the NASDAQ, yeah? So just using fixed lots, basically, and the way it's working is you take 2 entries at each break. One of them is a quick scalp, 1.5, 2 R. The second one is a runner, 3 to 5 R, something like that, yeah? So I'm using fixed lot sizing. And basically, the percentage of opening range, yeah, if you set that to 1,000, basically what that is it will place a stop loss, because this can't place trades without using a stop. It has to use a stop. So because the TP calculations are done off the stop loss, basically, as a percentage of them. So what you can do is set this to 1,000. And what that is basically a 10R stop loss. So if you've got an opening range there, it places the pending orders as usual, but it will place your stop loss 10 times that range away from where your entry is. So there is still a danger of this stop loss getting triggered. If this thing goes 10R against you, it will still trigger a stop. Yeah. So if you want to be super, super safe, you could set it to 2000. However, what I would say is if this thing's moving 20R against you, you want to be out in 10R. So, I would also be doing the same thing. If it's moving 10R against you, that's a bloody big move. Yeah. So that's basically what that's doing. Your TPs, as you are making your opening range stop loss 10R, these TPs then suddenly become a TP multiplier. So if you set it to 20 there, i.e. 20% of the opening range, of the stop loss opening range, that is a 2R TP. 50 is a 5R TP. And I'll show you this running in the backtester in a minute so you can see. So by setting that to 1000 and that to 20 and 50, you are setting a TP at 2R and 5R, and your stop loss is absolutely miles away. So the idea is we're basically going to set our ranges. If it breaks clean, excellent, job done. If it doesn't break clean, we wait for it to do whatever it wants to. We take some off, and on the pullback, we get out the other entry and take our profit. Yeah. So the ranges that I'm setting are two of them, 9:45 to 10 o'clock. This is for the DAX. Yeah, you'd set it obviously for whatever you're trading, but 9:45 to 10 o'clock. So that's the pre-market 15-minute range on number 1 and number 2 ranges. Yeah, so those two are set to true. Sorry, there. So range 1 and range 2 is set to true. Trailing stops, you can use them if you want to. I personally manually trade with it. So this is basically getting me into those entries, and then I'm making decisions based on that. So you could set it to use that if you want to. Trailing stops. And make sure that you've got take multiple trades at the same level set to true. Yeah. So that's basically it. So you're using a fixed lot size. Pound US dollar, I've just been watching that pound CAD and pound US dollar tanking. I can see it because the chart's moving around. Fixed lot size, yeah. You set the use monetary risks to false. You set the use a fixed stop and money amount to false. So we're just using that, and we're using a percentage of the range. Yeah. So if I set that to OK, so that pound CAD has just managed to break through that support level, and we've got pound US dollar now hit ADR. Yeah, so there's your ADR hit again. Fairly tight breakout on this one. Sorry, reversal alert on this one, potentially. So just run you through what it will do. Okay, so there's the open. So that's your 15-minute pre-market opening range. Candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. This is your open. Yeah. It's gone too fast, but it's hit TP already. So here it placed 2 orders, 2 buy orders, and it's placed 2 sell stops. Yeah. So first one, long. Yeah. There we go. So buy stop, sell stop, buy stop, sell stop, all with 15 lots. TP1 was there. TP2 is there. And your stop losses. Yeah, you can see the stop loss is all the way down here on this buy. Yeah, so that is your opening range, and that is a 10R stop loss. So it's got to move 10 times the opening range to get you stopped out. Yeah, so opening range is, well, it says over there, doesn't it? 130. Yeah, so TP1 is 2R-ish, so 250. And then TP2 is 637, which is about a 5R. Remember, I set it to 20 and 50. So this is roughly 2 times the opening range for TP1 and roughly 5 times the opening range for TP2. So idea is obviously once we've got that first one TP done, we hit the second TP. Now, what my version of the EA does in this instance, when we hit TP1, it automatically breaks even on the second half of that trade, which this one doesn't do. However, if you want it to do that, you can use a trailing stop at 200% of the initial opening range. And what that will do is it then will automatically trail. So by the time you hit that TP, the trailing stop would have pulled up into a break even. Yeah. So if you want to use that, you can do. And also what mine would do is it would cancel off that short. Yeah. Because we've hit target, we've banked our money today. We've just banked $1,425. So shut that off. We're done for the day. Off you go and do something else. Yeah. So there you go. So that's basically how you can set up the ORB EA to do the same as the other version of the strategy that I'm building. There you go. So there's another break there. So this one's hedged. So it's gone long and short. There's your 15-minute opening range. It's pushed up, triggered a long, pushed down, triggered a short. We've TP'd on the first position. Really? You're not going to TP on that second position? Brilliant. There we go. TP'd on the second position. Whoa, slow down. So we TP'd on that one, TP'd on that one, and then the market pushed back up and TP'd on the first long, and then the second long is closed out just before the New York Open. So there you go, $2,100 banked. Just use another one. There we go. So there's your buy stops and your sell stops. So TP1 hit on its way to TP2. Okay, so TP2 didn't get hit. TP1 got triggered on the other side. So you're hedged now still on one long and one short with 881 banked. Right, so now your open profit here is minus 261 because you've got a hedge. So your hedge has locked in that loss. That 261 will never change. So the very worst case scenario today is you're going to bank $620. That's it. So your worst case scenario is 620. Well, that's the only case scenario really, unless one of these other TPs gets hit. Which it didn't. It did. Right, so that one's hit. So there you go, 1988 banked with 1350 odd in drawdown, and that will close out at the New York Open. There we go. So banked 639. Yeah, so that's basically it. Hopefully that answers the question because that's what I've been asked. So there you go, TP hit on the long, but you're going to have to manually deal with this short. Yeah. You're going to have to deal with this bit manually because there's no functionality in the existing ORB EA to automatically close out the opposite trades when you TP and stuff like that. This is new stuff that I've been introducing into this new variation on the strategy that I'm testing. So there we go. So long hit, short didn't hit, banked $7,000 so far. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. So just a quick recap. If you want to take a screen grab of those settings, basically, or come back and watch the replay whenever you want. So let's see how we're doing. Okay, so mess today. Hedged on both of those at the minute. So Dow, TP1 hit, break even on the second position. So guaranteed, locked in $800 profit. So the short's done very nice today. Not triggered the long. And the S&P cannot get going at all. So NASDAQ's off to the highs. So you'll notice we are at 1.5 stroke 2R and there's no TP on this. So the tests that I'm running at the moment, when we get hedged, I'm automatically moving all take profits up to 3R. So not taking that anymore. So what I'm waiting for now is the market to make a decision on a move. And when it's finished that move, I'm going to make sure I get paid a decent amount of money at 3R or 5R, depending whichever one you want to use. And then after that push to 3R, we should then get a pullback. That pullback is then going to allow me to get out of these shorts with less than I've banked on the longs. And that's how we're going to get out of the hedge and make profit on the day, assuming that we get a rally. If we don't, and we just get this rotation day today like that, and it just doesn't go anywhere, we're guaranteed to lock in a profit, a loss of $1,000. So I cannot do any worse right now than losing $1,000. That's it on each of those, which is no problem because I've banked 2K there and 800 there. So it's a winning day regardless, isn't it? Right, we'll wait for those to play out. But if you've got any questions on that, let me know. Pound CAD. Funny enough, that's what I'm on. Sure. So I'm on, that's the short that I took last week. Yeah, so I look at this. I took this trade all the way back there, and we've just done that for 3 or 4 days. So I'm short on this at the moment. 5% locked. Well, locked in at 4 point something now. But so yeah, this short. This is what I'm looking at as a potential support bounce area. So we got these highs. Look, so we pushed up into that high, pushed up into that high, again, pushed through it, bounced. Yeah. So this whole area here is a support resistance area. So this is kind of why I've got the trailing stop loss on it, because I'm half expecting this to bounce out of this. This Canadian dollar obviously is being rallied with the US. So when the US push finishes, this will obviously pull back. So we don't know how long this US dollar rally is going to be, but obviously we've got US dollar pairs hitting ADR now. So it's probably going to start to run out of steam a little bit. But from a position trading perspective, nowhere at the minute. From a support resistance bounce perspective, if you're not short on it, you can take a long. We got propulsion gap target down there. The other thing, obviously, the reason I took this short up here was because that was a range high. So that was our previous range high, yeah, which is what I've shorted. So there is potential for this to come all the way back down to these range lows. Obviously, that's 200 ADR, so it's not going to make it today. But could carry on all the way down into this propulsion gap. So if you buy it anywhere down here, you're probably fairly safe at the moment. And obviously, we sold it up here. Well, I sold it up there, but yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it, for that? There's not a lot else I can say about that. Right now, you're bang in the middle of the range. So this is either going to bounce and chop around up here, or it's going to flush down to the lows, one way or the other. Okay, we've got an inside bar forming on the Dow. So this last 5-minute candle is an inside bar on the previous candle. Now we've got an inside bar forming on that inside bar. So this is a 2IB setup, 2 inside bar. So when this candle closes in 1.5 minutes, you can take pending orders on the highs and lows. So in the Dow, for example, yeah, so this particular setup, you can either go buy stop. I can't because it's max loss. Yeah, so you would put a buy stop there and a sell stop there. This is hit max loss because it's a top step practice account. It uses the same rules as normal. So because it's hit a 2K loss, I can't place any more trades on this one. But so yeah, so pending's there. Wait for this bar to close, basically. Or if this pulls back inside this candle, you could pending this candle here. So that's an aggressive entry. That's a more conservative entry. So it's basically it's a symmetrical triangle contraction. The price is going to pop one way or the other in a minute. They can't keep contracting. They will eventually break out of that that symmetrical range. Okay, so now it's pulling back inside the range a little. You can take a break of that level or that level. 2IB. You can trade that with the Price Action Toolkit. So in the Price Action Toolkit, it draws 2IB setups. So there goes 2IB inside bar setup. So you can get the Price Action Toolkit EA to automatically trade 2IBs for you when it sees them, if you need. Euro Swiss is pulled all the way back. Look, big rejection on that euro. Look, was that weird gap that it filled this morning, and it's pulled back into that gap again and collapsing. So you've got some RSI extensions triggered now. EuroCAD. So that's triggered to the downside. That's approaching my TP, which is just at the fill of this propulsion gap here. So potentially you can look for starts of long positions on that. Obviously, bear in mind this. Watch this Canadian and the US today because it's like strong at the minute. So same with the euro US dollar. Obviously, that's now an RSI extension. So it's not quite there yet. So if we get another down candle on this, we'll get an extension below the 25. I'll be longing that. US dollar Swiss hit to the upside. That's at the 70 level. So again, a little bit more needed on that one to get an entry short. We are up at the highs. We've slammed through that though. This is really powered through these areas. So I'd watch for kind of accumulations and potential continuations on some of these maybe. But and US dollar yen. So this US dollar yen has broken our 145. So this is the area we looked at this morning and we've been watching like a hawk. This is where the Japanese said, if you do push above this level, we will intervene. And the market tanked it. So we've been watching this for a break since Friday and we've got it. So we'll see where this closes. If this closes back down below that 145 level today, I think we might have some strong yen movement coming. However, I've got the one short on at the moment. If it does break and hold above that level, we'll be looking to come up to 150. And you can see I've got that as an orange line there. So that's 150. So that is our last intervention point from the Japanese. So from here, in theory, we've got about a 4 ADR move to the upside. 444 pips, 128 ADR. So yeah, three and a bit ADR potential movement. So I'm in one there. So probably scale into somewhere in the region of 3 to 5 positions on the way up to 150 and then get the pullback if it decides to do that. So we will see. But there's not a peep out the Japanese overnight. So I'm guessing they're not too worried about this 145 level. However, they will be worried about this 150 if we actually get there. We'll see. So Dow's holding. There you go. So your 2 inside bar break has triggered to the upside, but rejected. So short that if it doesn't obviously push up. It will go one way or the other. Yes, it's moving today. So there's a few things to look at there for RSI extensions. Obviously on the 14 RSI, which is more sensitive, we've got some further extensions on those pairs above the 75s. So good looking potential shorts and longs, but a little bit steam train like today, aren't they? Got out the euro US dollar on Friday, obviously too soon as usual. Paolo, how often do I use the symmetrical triangle indicator? I don't personally. Short scalp US dollar Swiss. I'm just not into chart patterns. Me. Yeah. So if this holds this weekly high, you're at least looking for a push back down into last week's low, which is 175, 200 ADR to the downside. But wait for a signal to go short, which you're just about to get. There you go. So there's your ADR hit. There's your reversal alert. And you got 6 seconds. That's just about to trigger a short. There we go. There's your short signal for US dollar Swiss. So depending on obviously how you're trading, if you're scalping with a stop loss, you're looking for somewhere around about a third to half an ADR. So 35 is half an ADR. That is 28. So that's 30. So this previous resistance would be a nice quick scalp short. Get out there, these propulsion gaps. If you look on the hourly, basically this propulsion gap fill here. Do I use Bootcamp? I do and I don't. Not so much anymore. I got into Bootmap. Not into Bootmap. I use a piece of software called Jigsaw, which is better than Bootmap. So Bootmap is basically not a rip-off, but a copy of Jigsaw. Jigsaw's been around a lot longer. They started heat mapping. Bootmap jumped on board. But I use Jigsaw software, and I got into it for a bit. But if you think about it, all that you are seeing in heat mapping software in the futures market is support and resistance levels. So all it does is it's a $1,000 automated support and resistance line drawer. This indicator you got on your chart here is $50. Does the same thing. Basically, draws support and resistance. So that's really all it is. Jigsaw and Bootmap. They give you support and resistance areas which do or don't get broken. Doesn't really give you any advantage. The only thing it does do is if you're going to trade support and resistance only, it gives you discipline. So if you're an undisciplined trader and you will not take a trade until you get to an iceberg order, then that's really helpful. However, otherwise it doesn't really do a lot for me. I've been around a long time in this industry, and I've seen all indicators. I've seen software come and go and concepts come and go. And at the end of the day, every concept you have has the same odds of working. When you get to this resistance and it bounces and it gives you either a reversal alert or it gives you a price action candlestick pattern to short it, when you hit that button, those are your odds. Whether you use $1,000 piece of software to tell you when to hit that button or whether you hit it when you decide to is up to you. But there isn't any software that makes your odds any better. If it makes your life easier and makes your decision-making process more accurate, it's worth the money. That's all I would say about that. Because you're not going to find that it's going to suddenly open up this magic book of, wow, look, I can see those orders there. When it hits them, it bounces off of them. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Around about 50% of the time. So does it help you? Really, does it? It's the same as, you look at a market profile that looks like that. Yeah? You've got a point of control. And you've got other areas of high volume. Yeah, so if price is trading here and it pushes up into that volume area, you short it. It's either going to do that or it's going to do that. Yeah, so, volume profile, same thing as Bootmap and Jigsaw. It draws lines for you. Point of control. What is point of control? It's the largest area of volume for the day. What is it? An area which price bounced from sometimes. Same as the VWAP, volume weighted average price. What is it? The line on a chart that moves with the volume weighted average price. What is it? A support that sometimes breaks. It's a dynamic support resistance. Every single thing you see on your chart draws in areas of interest. That's all it does. So whether you pay $1,000 for it or you basically get this free piece of software in front of you right now and you draw a line there because you can see a point that the market has reacted at 3 times, that gives you just as much advantage as a £1,000 piece of software that does it automatically for you. Doesn't it? Just looks funky. Yeah, that doesn't look interesting, does it? But I'm not interested in interesting. I'm interested in making money. Bells and whistles are brilliant, but at the end of the day, it's not going to help you make a fortune. Euro odd's coming down quite nicely at the moment. So is Euro CAD. So Euro CAD's approaching TP 0.22%. So hopefully that will hit today. And the Euro odd, I'm going to take both. I'm going to take some of this off, I think, today. If we can get an ADR hit on this in that propulsion gap, I'll take that one off. And then that takes my average down to there. If we can get a second down day on it tomorrow, I can exit this whole thing. That's where I'm looking at on this one, propulsion. But I'm just looking for something to get over here because I seem to be just battling drawdown control at the minute. So I'm trying to get some profit bigger than drawdown control banked every day, just so that I can just build a bit of a balance for the month, because it's a bit of a pain in the ass at the minute. Out the Dow, flat on the Dow, 830. So taken out pretty much break even on second half of the position. NASDAQ's pushing up nicely, so is the S&P. So both of these obviously for me are hedged. So when we get the TP on that, I'll be looking for a pullback. Same with the S&P. And then try and get out with a profit. Afternoon, Steve. Missed the open again? You need to wake up earlier. Then you won't miss the open. Or better still, just use something like the opening range breakout EA, which will just do it for you. Then you haven't got to be there, have you? What I did with the DAX this morning. Mind you, I was here, wasn't I? Why hasn't Euro US dollar taken a long? Extended past 25 on the hourly. Mine isn't. Euro US dollar is 26.69. And also, you won't get a reverse alert until there, obviously. So, I mean, won't take a trade until there's a reverse alert, obviously. So there is no entry on that yet for me, anyway. Wait, I have the ORBEA. I'm just too stupid to make it work. Well, Steve, go back and watch the replay, because I've just been through a very long, well, not long, but a very detailed explanation of how to set the ORBEA up to trade hedged version of the strategy. But you will need a little manual intervention there. Well said on indicators, yeah. It's anything. It's not just indicators. Everything, yeah. I mean, I build and use indicators, yeah. So I'm the last person in the world that you would expect to say indicators are crap. They are. They all tell you what's happened in the past. Yeah, today, Steve. This session, you just missed it. Watch the replay. So after the open, I think about 10 minutes after the open, I just went through an explanation of how to set up the Price Action Toolkit, the opening range breakout EA, to do hedging. Yeah, so there you go. So it's hedging. No stop loss. Well, there is a stop loss. It's just far away. But go and watch the video. Yeah, so I mean, all indicators do is they tell you what's happened in the past. There is no indicator that predicts the future. Yeah, and there's no strategy that you can backtest successfully that is going to replicate what you've done in a backtest. So everything you ever do with any indicator is literally just giving you a trigger to enter the market. When you enter the market, it will go up or down. There's nothing that you can do or nothing that you can use on a chart to predict whether that movement is going to go in one of those directions. It will go in one of those directions, 100% guaranteed, because it can't go sideways, can it? It will go up or down. Even if it goes into a range, it's got to go up and down to make a range. Yeah, so it's going to go up or down, but nothing's going to tell you what's going to happen in the future. The ADR indicator tells you when price is extended and is likely to pull back. It's doing it right now. It doesn't tell you where it's going. It tells you that it's extended and it's likely to pull back. It could go to 200 ADR. Just condition in the market. That's all indicators do. They show you conditions and they give you signals. Don't teach you how to trade. David, I love the ORB settings since you've been testing. What's the largest drawdown day you've experienced? I don't know, a couple of grand. I stop after if the ORB is not working, it's not working. Stop. I don't know what the largest drawdown day. It depends on your settings. What your largest drawdown day would be. Depends how you've got it set up and how you're using it. But there's a max. The whole purpose of that setting in the EA there, here, close everything and stop at this loss, is to stop you hemorrhaging your account. Yeah. So if you get an opening range and the market goes into rotation like that for the entire day, yeah, you need to stop at some point. So your largest loss will be whatever that is. Dependent, I mean, it's not going to go sideways forever, is it? But you need to stop it trading at some point. So you set that, not me, not the market. You set what your max stop will be. Okay, so TP hit on NASDAQ. So $2,384 banked. So I'm looking for a pullback on the NAS of basically that range. So if we can pull back, what is the range? 265. So if we can pull back 265 from the open, which is roughly there, that will give me a break-even exit on the trade. If it continues to push, obviously, it will be one of those days where it could hurt. We'll see. Still pushing on the S&P. In fact, I'd like it to push a little bit further just so that it can help the S&P get to target. And then if it could just pull back, that would be lovely. I'll let that run and see what happens. Need to watch the replay. Yeah, just go and watch the replay. Somebody asked me in Telegram, basically. So I said I would do a little video on how to set it up. And it's never going to be 100% what this, this EA is a different EA. It's got different logic, but the basis of the logic is we don't use a stop, we hedge it. So that is basically how to set the ORB EA up to do that. But on days where you get a break, when you get a clean break like this on the Dow, you're going to have to manually deal with the opposite end of the trade. Yeah. So you still will need to do some work, which you should be. AZ, I'm a little confused because my RSI 14 is at 21. What? Oh, your RSI 14? Yeah, I'm not using the RSI 14 though, am I? I'm using the RSI 21. Yeah, I trade off the 21, not the 14. So your which pair were you talking about? Euro US dollar? Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, that is extended beyond the 75 level. Yeah, but I'm not trading the RSI 14. I'm trading the RSI 21. That's why it looks different to yours, because you're trading a different RSI to me. I'm trading the 21. So if you are taking the 20, if you've got the market reversal alert CA set up to trade off the 14 on the Euro US dollar, you still haven't had an entry yet, though. You still would not have taken a trade because you haven't had a reverse alert, have you? Look, that's just bounced off the support rectangle. So until that level is broken, you are not going to get into a trade because it's the market reversal alert CA. So obviously the signal to get into a trade is a market reversal alert. It doesn't take a trade because the RSI is extended. The RSI is a filter, condition filter on the signal. Duresh, don't trust this people who says their indicator will win you money. No. Exactly. US dollar Swiss tanking. Yeah. It's just a pullback in the US at the minute. So we're just pulling back into propulsion. I would imagine my pound CAD is just stopped out. Yeah. So pound CAD's closed out at 4.5% on that pullback. So that is the bounce. So that's why I put that trailer on, because I was expecting a bounce off of support, which is exactly what we got. So remember I said this area here, yeah, that high, and that low is what I would expect the market to bounce from. That's exactly what it's doing. But that does not mean it's going up here now. What it means is it's bounced. There's limit order triggers at this level. So market triggers directional change off of limit orders placed in the market by the banks. That is a limit order trigger you're seeing. It's a bounce, basically, meaning that the sellers who are selling into this area are getting eaten up by an iceberg order. We were talking about Bootcamp earlier. You can see these orders in the futures market. That is an iceberg triggered, which has just basically bounced the market back off of it. Doesn't mean it's going up, because there's a lot of sellers on board today. So it just means they've been pushed back. So now we take a second run up. This is where the sellers started the move, this propulsion gap. We've run into the buyers' propulsion gap. So the battle lines are now drawn here. So buyers are buying out here, sellers are selling out of there. One of those two is going to win. Again, there's not an indicator in the universe that can tell you which one is going to win, where it's going in the future. But there are indicators like this one which tell you where the battle lines are and where the orders are. So we just need to wait and see who wins now. Well, I don't, because I'm out. But yeah. So, and that's why I'm buying out of this area. Look, massive propulsion gap. Yeah. Accumulation, break. Banks place long orders. Sellers try to push the price down, buyers add. Sellers try to push price down, buyers add. Sellers try to push price down, buyers add. Sellers try to push price down, buyers add. There's a load of buyers here that do not want price to go down below that level. Yeah. So eventually these sellers will either overpower these buyers and these buyers will puke, stop out and drop, or the sellers will give up and they will let the price rally. One of those two things is going to happen. No idea which. You just get on board and wait. Which means I'm going to lose all this profit on the Euro CAD. If that happens, it's so difficult to bank money at the moment. It really is. It's just like pulling teeth. I'm going to lock in a measly 0.1 on this Euro CAD. And I'm going to trail it with a 22 pip trailer. And I'm just going to move this TP. I mean, it's not going to get to 150 ADR. It's just pointless doing that. I might as well just take it at 2.3%. So yeah, I'm either going to stop out there or I'm going to hit that TP, just so that I can get this in the bank today, which will basically cover that drawdown control that I did this morning on Euro New Zealand. 1 DD control done on Euro New Zealand from that position this morning. So that will just be covered by that Euro CAD. It's firefighting at the moment. It's just firefighting, waiting for a move. When the box color's orange and you get a green arrow, is that not a reversal alert? No. AZ, you need to go and watch, I think you need to go and watch the videos on the website. I don't think you quite understand what is. So basically, if you're trading with the market reversal alerts EA, yeah, the market reversal alerts EA is based on the market reversal alerts indicator. Yeah, that is a reversal alert. The green arrow is a retest alert. So if you've got your EA set up to trade market reversal alerts rather than retests, it will enter on that. If you've got it set on retests, it will enter on the arrow, which is the second leg entry. In this case, it would be, you haven't got one there. There you go, there. So that is basically a break and a retest. So watch these videos. this one, what the indicator and dashboard does, this will give you a full breakdown of exactly how the logic works, how the indicator works, etc., etc. Yeah. Okay, so S&P is pushing up still, broken new highs. I do understand that. I'll send you a screenshot on Telegram, but I've got a reversal alert in place where you don't. That's because your broker's got different price action to me. Yeah. So my euro US dollar. Yeah. If you've got a reversal alert down here, that's because you have somewhere in this drop, you've got a green candle. I haven't. Mine are all red. So the market reversal alert indicator anchors itself to the last up candle before a low is made. Yeah. So it's the last batch of buy orders before they got run over. When we break that level, the buyers that attempted that long have won the battle. That's when we get in, when the buyers who failed regain control. Yeah, that is where they last attempted a long. Now, if your broker has painted the data differently and you've got a green candle here, you'll have an alert there. But check your, that's basically the way it works. Obviously, I don't know how you've got your EAs and everything set up, but that's basically the logic. So if you've got different, if yours looks different to mine, it's because your broker data is different. Trade your charts, not mine. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? Really, it's extended, so it's either going to bounce or it's not. If it bounces, brilliant. If it doesn't bounce, just doesn't matter, does it? This is what we're interested in. Deal with this. If it gets you into a trade here or it gets you into a trade here, it's irrelevant. It's got you into a trade. You are now long euro US dollar. Now we need to wait for 2-3 days, a week, or however long for the euro US dollar movement to play out, and we will make money or won't make money, depending on what happens next. But I don't. Yeah, that's if you obviously understand the logic. Obviously, there's different settings in the market reversal alerts indicator as well, so you could set it up differently to be. There's no rights or wrongs. It's just difference. Welcome aboard, Coco Seba Capital. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for subscribing. Yes, that's exactly what happens. Makes sense. Yeah, cool. So that's all it is. It's just broker data differences. Oh, good. Look, I'm going to give all this profit away on this Euro Swiss long. Going to be one of those months. Right. S&P is rejecting the highs. So is the NASDAQ. So that is support. Turned resistance. That's the second resistance test. So I'm going to close these longs. Executive decision. So banked $1,500 there. So I'm looking for a pullback basically now to get out of these short positions. Even better still, a collapse would be much more favorable, but pullback will do. Again, we keep talking about how when you're trading, even when you're using EAs like this, you should still be interacting. You should still be watching what's going on. So my decision-making process there to close that is my decision-making process based on what I can see there and based on what I've banked. Yeah. If this had been banked differently today and I didn't have $2,800 in the bank and $2,300 there, that decision-making process may have been different. Yeah. So, this is what I mean when I say you've got to still, whenever you do a back test on an EA, the back test is showing you what would have happened if it was 100% unattended and you'd taken every single trade on every single day. There was never a fault with the EA. Your VPS was connected all the time. You didn't have any power failures. Your broker didn't lock up. XYZ, every single duck lined up in a row and nothing ever went wrong. That's not real life. Yeah, you're going to go on holiday and you're going to miss 25 grand's worth of profit because you're away for a week, right? So, or you're going to miss 25 grand of loss because you're away for a week. Whatever it is, what happens in the back tester is not going to happen in real life. Yeah, you're going to see things on the chart that will make you make a decision, and that decision may be right, may be wrong. That might have been totally the wrong thing to do, and this might fly up into there, in which case I'm going to make a loss today. I don't know, but all I can see on the chart is highs getting hit and sellers stepping in. So I've made a decision to shut that trade. But your EA, whatever you're using, will have a different rule set based on the logic that's programmed into it. So, you know, you've got to make allowances for you as a human being to get involved in these things as well. So, which is what I keep saying. Thought feeder, experiment question. If you had to leave one EA running with one strategy on a VPS coming back and checking in 6 months, which would it be? H1M5 mean reversion on the market reversal alerts EA. But if you're asking me to not look at it for 6 months or intervene for 6 months, I would probably set up the drawdown control differently. I would probably make it do a little bit more aggressive drawdown control, i.e. get out of positions faster. So I'll find a trade. So these longs here on the pound US, for example, rather than leaving it to 1.5 ADR to do the first drawdown control, I would probably make that tighter because you're going to have to control drawdown more. And targeting, obviously, I wouldn't be able to do manually. So I would probably extend the targets to 1.5 ADR to 2 ADR and let it do longer swings. But I don't know. I wouldn't do that, is the honest answer. Because if you're wanting to be a trader and you're not allowed to check your charts for 6 months, you might as well go and do another job. Because you're not a trader, are you? But this is the strategy that I would trade because it's safe. Well, it's safe. It depends. You know, it's safe. ORBs are fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I could come back in 6 months and look at having traded the ORB strategy. But I think what you find with the ORB strategy is you will have profit there, but mind you, if you're not looking at it, it doesn't matter. Your P&L will be like that. Whereas with this, your P&L will be more like that. But it won't be anywhere near as big. Unless you put it on really aggressive mode. How much money have I got, Thought Feeder? That's the question I really need to know. How much am I trading with? If I'm trading with $1 million, I would probably use the ORB strategy, to be honest. I don't know. Good question. Not been asked that one before. And I honestly don't know the answer. There you go. Wrong choice. Well, it's not the wrong choice because we've got a nice big inside bar formation coming, which could well be the start of the reversal, but may not be. What's the best way to contact me? Well, here, you're talking to me now. How can I help? Telegram, website, or here? There's links going along the bottom to the website all the time. So, or Telegram. I'm always in Telegram. Too much, if you ask my wife. Wow, this is getting hammered. So is this Swiss franc or euro? This looks the euro. The euro is getting hit hard. For some reason. Just about to get a reversal alert on the hourly Euro New Zealand. So that's just broken 2-day low. Or it's trying to. Well, not really 2-day low, but it's broken that support. Trying to. Obviously, it hasn't broken yet. It is attempting to break. Euro US dollars come off of ADR. So if you have got a broker that's drawn this reversal alert down there, obviously, I don't know where your candle is, but I would imagine that's your break candle. So we've just basically got a retest potentially of that break. So if this US dollar is continuing to push, I would which it looks like it is at the moment. No, sorry, it's coming down, isn't it? That means the indices are likely to be trying to push higher. There we go. So there's TP hit on that one. So sitting in drawdown now on these two. So I've basically got to deal with these. So this is the downside to the hedging strategy. If you get a runaway day where you get an absolute screaming 10R, which doesn't stop, this is going to make a loss. It's very few and far. If you go into the back tester and look at the number of days you get a 10R move, not often. Yeah, once every 2 or 3 weeks if you're lucky. And quite often on those big screaming days, you get that massive profit take pullback as well. So it really depends where you take your profit off. This one's going to hit 5R today by the looks of things. So the high on the NASDAQ is there. And the same on the S&P. Exactly the same. So this, you can't quite see it. It's behind the info panel, but that candle high there is just above 5R. So if we are going to push up, we've got resistance coming up on the S&P there, which is the previous day's high. And then we've got the high there, potential resistance points. So hopefully we get a pullback. I can exit on those. If I can exit on one of them with a decent, profit, and exit on the other one and cancel those two out. So if I can get those two to cancel each other out, just walk away with that profit today. This is the beauty of trading all 4 indices. And to be honest, there's an argument for trading 3 rather than 4, because these guys, as you can see, do the same thing every day. So these will always be mimicking each other unless there's news events where you're going to get NASDAQ acting differently. But this one, and one of those two will always act differently. So this is basically doubling exposure, doing the same thing on these two. So there's an argument really for either dropping the S&P or the NASDAQ to reduce exposure. However, when you get those lovely days where they both do the same thing and hit 3, 4, 5R, you're doubling your profit as well. So there's arguments both ways, really, isn't there? But we will see. Personal choice. Wave his Lambo down, Daniel. Yeah, you can also do that, Daniel. If you see me driving past in my Lambo, you can flag me down and ask me questions. You can't miss it. It's a whacking great gold one. Looks like that. But only after days like that. When you get days like that, I have to sell the Lambo. Luckily, days like that aren't. Okay, so these are all pulling back nicely now. All the positions. New Zealand dollar CAD's coming to profit. Again, look at this. See, this is what I mean. All week, literally for the last 2 weeks, we're getting loads of movement. The P&L variation is like that, but we're not going anywhere, are we? Look at all this movement today. We've had a lovely big push down, lovely big push up, lovely big push down, screaming candle. Not going anywhere though. All the movement is intraday, which means you've got to drop down onto M5 and try and guess. But look at the highs and lows. Yeah, this market is just trading algos. It's summer. The bankers are all on holiday. They've taken their personal jets. They're overseas drinking Mai Tais on the beach. And the algos are literally just running amok. Be lovely. To be able to do drawdown control, you'd have to have a minimum of 0.03 lots. It depends how you set the EA up. So if you, in the drawdown control settings, basically, there we are. You obviously set when to start drawdown control and how much as a percentage to close. Yeah. So if you go and say, when I get to 1.5 ADR, I want to close down a third of my position. If you've taken a 0.03, obviously that will close a 0.01 off. You could set it to 0.5, which means it can't close a 0.03, and it will then round up to a 0.02. So it will close 2/3 of the position off. So to be honest, I've never traded with lots that small. I have in very, very, very early days testing and everything, but I haven't traded properly with that tiny amount. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to do partials, I mean, if you've got trades that have been taken with 0.02s, for example, you could set it to close 50%, which will just close half out. But ideally, you want more. All I can say is the best thing to do whenever you're doing any of these sorts of questions, yeah, put the actual amount that you're trading with. So if you're trading with $2,500 or pounds or euros or whatever it may be, put that actual amount in there, set up the EA to trade exactly as you're going to trade. Per trade. And then just run it in the strategy tester on the DAX. That's not going to work, is it? I don't even know what this is doing, this set file, but anyway, we'll have a look. And just see what it takes. I think this is probably going to trade RSI extensions on the DAX. So got it set up on the wrong setting. That'll take forever on tick. Do it on control points. Yeah, so that's taken a 0.04. So I set it up to trade, I think it was a $4,000 account. Yeah. And it's taken a 0.04. So that can definitely do drawdown control. So you could use a quarter or a third of the position drawdown control, and it will close that out fine. So that's not an issue. I've no idea what this is, what this set file's doing. So hopefully it will take some profit. There we go. Trading hourly RSI extensions. So look, a whopping great $6 profit there. Look. Okay. So yeah, just test it and test it with the actual money you're going to trade with, and you'll see what you can do. Lumo, do you trade the 4 indices on one account? Yeah. How do you trade? How do you manage risk? So whatever risk you want to take per instrument, basically, 0.5%, 1%, whatever you want. But it's the same across them all, roughly the same across them all. Experience with the S&P tends to be sluggish. Not really. Look, This is at 4R. That's at 5R. Does the same thing. The difference between the S&P and the NASDAQ, there's very little in price action. You'll see that the price action will be very, very similar. Look at this little flag break there. Look. The price action is virtually the same. The difference is the ADR. On average, this moves 49 a day. This moves 236. So that's the difference. Is because obviously here you've got 4 digits and here you've got 5 digits. Yeah, so it's just because you've got 100 stocks in there and 500 stocks in there. This thing is weighted differently to this. But the movement is very similar. The range of movement is very similar. This is why we use ADR. We don't use pips. We use ADR to measure distance because it doesn't matter how fast or slow something is as long as the range of movement is okay. And it always will be because it will always have an average daily range. This is why ADR is so good because it's the same on every instrument. It's 100% of its average daily range. Whether it's 1 pip or 1,000 pips, it's 100% of its average daily range. If this thing only moves 5 pips in a day, like oil hardly moves anything, does it? Look at ADR on oil, if I can find the right dashboard. It's 21 pips. Everything else in the FX market is 40, 50, 60 upwards. But oil still moves within its average daily range. Yeah. So its ADR high is there, its ADR low is there, which is an ADR. It's, you know, how it moves is different. But from a, you can see here, look. So that's the S&P on the 5-minute chart, and that's the NASDAQ on the 5-minute chart. Yeah. But this thing, this thing ticks like a crazy beast. Look at this. Look at that. Moving up and down like a nutter. Yeah. And look at something like the Dow or the S&P. See how fast that is compared to the NASDAQ? That's the difference. This is why the NASDAQ kills so many people in futures, because that is the Dow. That is NASDAQ. Look at it. That was $200. That's $200 gone. In the Dow, it's like 5 quid, 10 quid. In the NASDAQ, it's like 100 quid, 200 quid on single contracts. Totally different beast. But the actual price action is virtually the same. This is going to be easier to trade for newbies because it's slower. But there's not a lot in it. Really is not a lot in it. But, you know, if you want to trade one or the other, just pick one. Pick whichever one you think is best. This is like a steam train today, look. Out way too soon. Hopefully we get a pullback on this today. This might end up as a losing day today. Got about 4K drawdown at the minute. Something like that. 9, yeah, based on, so I've banked 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 8, and I'm in 9 drawdowns, so about 3K drawdown. So I need to get this down below 6.8. So as soon as this gets down below 6.8, that's break-even day. So hopefully we just get a nice 50% pullback on this move. That'll give me enough to get out. If not, it'll be a loser. Wayne, looks like an M pattern reversal forming at a level on the Aussie New Zealand. Yep. So the reversal was yesterday, was this morning, retest. Yeah. So there's your reversal alert on the hourly. There's your retest. So it retested the initial break, but it just gone sideways today. So yeah, multi-day M pattern reversal. And it's a good support resistance level. It's not great. I mean, it was a great support resistance level. Yeah, we tested it lots. But it's basically accumulating around it now. So it might be a case of we're going to push up into there, which is fine. So I've got a sell on at the moment. If we need to push up, then we'll scale into a couple of positions and obviously take the pullback on that entire move. So it's either going to pull back on that move and either do one of those two things, or it's going to accumulate and push up into the next resistance, in which case then I'll take a pullback of that move. By adding extra positions on, I move my position up so that I can get out on that propulsion gap in profit. Who knows? One of them things is going to happen. Bankers chilling in the hillsides of Maui. I hope not. Isn't it Maui that's just gone up in flames? Watching the plebs below incinerate. Yeah. That's not good, is it? That Maui. Basically, the entire island's just been wiped out, isn't it? So, Trump, if you're listening, you know that global warming thing that you don't think is real? Oh, there's no Trump supporters in here. I've just upset you all. I would say that about any president, though, that doesn't believe in global warming. Because basically, we've got scientific fact that proves it. So if you look at scientific fact and go, nah, don't think that's right, you shouldn't be in charge of a country, should you, really? Don't want to get political, but it's not as if we're making it up. Right, we're approaching ADR on the NASDAQ, and the S&P's got a bit of a way to go yet. But so there's that resistance. We've flown through it on the NAS. So we're approaching ADR. So good looking short opportunity. In fact, I might actually take that. Oh, I haven't got indices on this account. No, I won't. I would take that, sure, if I had indices on that account. So good looking short opportunity. So if you're using the Price Action Toolkit, it's just basically sell stop either under the current candle or the last candle. Just literally place that sell stop order for you. Oh my God, I've got so many MT4 terminals open. So sell stop under this candle or a sell stop under the last candle. So as we push up, if we keep just putting new higher highs, higher lows in, at some point, that's going to stop. We're going to get that break of the low of that candle. So you'll be jumping in immediately when those sellers take control. As soon as those sellers take control, we've got a good chance of either 38 or 50% retracement if this is going to go long. That is if it's going to go long, obviously. So the US dollar at the moment is dropping, which is why the indices are rallying. So the indices do the opposite to what the US dollar does. So you can see obviously US dollar is coming down. So indices are rallying. So as soon as that US dollar drop stops, the indices will have a little bit of a pullback, as Euro US dollar is doing. And the pound US dollar is also doing. So this US dollar is starting to weaken a little. So I've closed out Euro New Zealand. No, Euro CAD. Yeah, Euro CAD. Look at that. I mean, this sums up summer trading. Entered short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days to get out with a grand total of about 0.15 ADR. 6 days to get that much movement. Honestly, it's just painful. I almost want to close this New Zealand dollar CAD. I only got into it this morning, but I almost want to just close it there because I think it's probably going to do that for the next week. Just, you know, look, What am I talking about? 150 ADR? That's a pipe dream. How are we ever going to hit 150 ADR? It's not going to happen, is it? We will see. It might do. It might do. You never know. Right. That's all I've got for you today. We'll see how these play out. So hopefully we get a pullback on these. If not, it's going to be a losing day, unfortunately. S&P's just hit that high. So it doesn't look like the market's paying any attention to that peak yesterday, or Friday rather, which is the news. But that is not the high of the day. Sorry, yes, it was high of the day, wasn't it, on Friday? So this is Thursday's high that we're rallying into now, which is also ADR. So basically, you know, parabolic moves also have parabolic unwindings. Parabolic move, unwinding. Parabolic move, unwinding. Parabolic move. Guess what's coming? So just waiting. There we go. There's that reaction on the S&P. Look, limit orders have triggered at that peak. So we'll see if we can get that rally back down from there. Nice looking little short there. Small risk. Could easily get half, at least 50% retracement on that move. But everything else, basically, as I say, I'm just waiting on stuff. So I'm going to just keep banking things. Anything I see getting like this euro odd, anything I see getting into, should have taken a bit of this off earlier, really. It's just pulled back. Getting to points where you can put some money in the bank is just worth doing at the moment. It's not a lot, but it's just all we can get for the moment. So if I bank this 220, in fact, I'm probably going to do it now. Bank it. The only reason I'm banking that now is thinking about it. Tomorrow morning, we've got the Australian monetary policy meeting minutes and the wage price index. So with this one specifically, with the euro odd, so I've just banked that position that was taken this morning there, look. Yeah, so there's the entry on that reversal alert this morning. Taking that one off there. So because we've got this today, if tomorrow morning, if the Australian dollar news comes out positive tomorrow, this thing's coming down, which basically means that you can see my average price is there. So if we get positive news tomorrow, this is going to push down towards my average. It's going to take that one into profit. So happy days, but we'll be at support. If it's negative news on the Aussie dollar tomorrow, this is going to push up, meaning that I can add this position on again and then wait for the pullback to take it off again. So I'll bank it twice. So I won't just take that $200 and something. I'll take it again. If it gets up there, I'll just do it again, and I'll keep doing it until they go, all right, fine, we'll move it down. And I'll just keep banking those $200 over and over again. So that's kind of the mentality you've got to have at the moment. I've seen this P&L flipping up and down constantly for the last 2 weeks now. You've just got to bank stuff. Just small amounts. Just get small amounts in the P&L and just build a bank. This will all deal with itself later. Yeah, there's nothing getting anywhere near trouble at all here. Pound US dollar is the worst drawdown I got at the moment, 0.8. Average is here. Just, in the grand scheme of things, it did that in a day. It can do that in a day again very easily. So there's nothing in any problem at the moment because it's just going sideways. So just bank stuff and then don't worry about it. Yeah, if you bank like this New Zealand dollar CAD, this is a single position. So if I was to bank that, but look where it's getting to. Yeah. Do I want that $140? I could probably use that $140 now. It's probably better to have it than not have it, than have it back down here at a break even, isn't it? But might break those highs. But anything you've got that's got multiple positions on, like this Euro New Zealand, for example, same thing. If this thing gets down to that propulsion gap, just above 150 ADR, for example, today, if that was to happen, close that position. Yeah. And then one of two things is going to happen. This move is either going to do that, and happy days, you're going to get all these other positions back into profit, or it's going to do that. In which case, then I'll add that on again and do the same thing. Yeah. So if you're running the market reversal alerts EA, don't be worried about just closing positions out, because the EA will just put them back on again if it gets there, because it's scaling in off of that position. So just to manually bank stuff. You know, all we need really is a good solid day of pushing, or rather pulling back on these grindy moves that we've had. And this lot will all be over there. It's just at the minute, all we're getting is this. So thank you when you can. Christian, oil. Yeah, we looked at oil this morning. So oil's come off the highs. So we come off the range high here. So previous support turned resistance. You know, we pushed up, kept rejecting this level. We're back here again. So the forecast, so this is December. So it's been basically 6 months or 8 months now. We've been sideways in this range. This is the longest. So this is an entire month of long sustained buying on oil back up into resistance. So are we going to pull back from here, or are we going to break? If we're going to break, $95 a barrel is Goldman Sachs target. 107 is their previous target. So I don't know why I've taken that 95 off. Put that back on. There you go. So there's Goldman's forecast for oil this year. So if we are going to break and hold, off we go. However, it's taken 8 months to try and break this multiple times, and we haven't been able to. So I get the feeling we're just going to pull back off of this for a few weeks. I'm not sure. But this is a beautiful push that in theory, I reckon that could probably break, but I don't know. I'm waiting for a long. So I'm waiting for this to pull back before I take a long one. I'm not trading it at the moment. But anywhere in this 24.72 range is where I'm interested. But there was your reversal at resistance on Thursday, sorry. Got an hourly reversal alert. You got one as well. I know you didn't get one on. So that was the first one on Thursday, in which case it's pulled back. It's a pullback on this move. So if you look at the market structure, yeah, it's looking beautiful for longs right now, but are we at that high putting a decent pullback in? Hard. We looked at this. We got these equidistant moves we looked at last week. Yeah, and I said about longing it here. That worked beautifully. I think a few of you took that, which was lovely. I didn't take it, but worked beautifully. But now it's kind of gone into a much less bullish. It's got a lot more movement, a lot more range starting to form. So who knows? Don't be talking about our next president like that, Gordy. Couldn't make it up, could you? I'm sorry. I don't follow US politics a lot. Obviously, only what we see over here. And the fact that you could be basically running a country from inside a jail cell. Surely it's time to reform your the way that you elect people. Yeah, because there's a lot of people in prison we could elect, but we decide not to because they're in prison and they've done something naughty. So if you get somebody in charge of a country, kick them out, and then take lawsuits towards them that could possibly mean they get banged up for 20 years, but still let them run for president and potentially run the country from inside a prison cell, something's not right. And the fact that you've got parts of your country burning to the ground and still wanting to elect somebody that doesn't believe in the reason that burning to the ground is global warming. Hey, I can't say anything, can we? Look at who we put in charge of our country. We had 3 presidents, prime ministers in the space of a year. So, hey, we're no better. XRUpdate.news, inside out. Cars melted on particular blocks. What? Don't know what that means. No, you got me there. I was thinking about it. You're probably talking about the fires, are you? Yeah, I mean, everything melts in fires, but that was a particularly raging one, wasn't it? Not good. Okay, so S&P's come off the highs. NASDAQ's thinking about it. So there's your pending order. if you'd have taken one off that candle. As I said, hasn't triggered yet. So we are just kind of flagging at the moment. We'll see, but looks like potentially a good looking short. If you're feeling really brave, you could take an entry there, which will obviously bang your average up to there, and you could get out on the short at a complete break even, which will guarantee you $1,500 profit. If you were so inclined. At least Trump still knows who he is. That is true, Wayne. That was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. President Biden comes over to have a meeting with the Prime Minister of the UK. First of all, calls him by the wrong name. Yeah, his name's Rishi Sunak. That's not what he was called. And then he sits down and gets cue cards out. So he's like this. Oh, how's your country doing? If you need cue cards and you're in charge of a country again, think about who you elected, for God's sake. The guy needs cue cards to hold a conversation with another leader of the world. Again, I love Biden. I think he's a much better upgrade, personally. But what did you have to choose from? Really? So, is that the Secret Service? Hope not. Right, so pullback's underway. So I'll be looking for an opportunity to get out of these two. If we, we could obviously completely undo today's move, which would be even better. But any kind of movement back down below 50% of this rally, I shall probably just shut these out and take a small loss on these two. These two paid the bills today. We'll see. This could collapse quite fast now, so we'll see what we do. Dow is also starting to retrace a little, and so is the DAX. The whole lot. The market's being sold off, all sectors. Can you take a look at CAD Yen? I can look at CAD Yen. What's the time? 4:07. CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, I've got nothing on this at the moment, but this is a nice resistance we're approaching now. This whole area is a good resistance. So you got that high there from Thursday, Friday, which is this high here we tapped into. So you can see it's all the same. Yeah, we pushed up into that area. We broke through it. We used it as support. We finally broke through it again, used it as support, broke through it, used it as resistance, broke down, came back up to it, used it as resistance, resistance, resistance. Yeah, can't get through it. We finally broken through it again in exactly the same way as we did there. Then we couldn't. So this whole area is very strong as a resistance zone for this. Reason being is because this is that point where we've hit the US dollar yen at the highs, and the US dollar yen is at 145, that point where it's kind of, you shouldn't be going beyond that level. Yeah, the Japanese have already said, oi, stop it. We're pushing our luck, breaking it again. The CAD yen is obviously stalling out. If you look at all the other yen pairs at the moment, Aussie dollar yen coming down, CAD yen pausing, Swiss yen pausing, Euro yen coming down, pound yen coming down or pausing, US yen, only one that's broken through it at the moment. Yeah. And this is the one that the Japanese use as their gauge because most of their transactions are done in US dollar against the yen. So this is the one that they do not want running away from them. This is why the interventions tend to get called for. So this is not actually a very weak yen at the moment. All of the other yen pairs are not doing bad, holding steady or gradually starting to push down. The US is the only thing that's managing to push because it's US dollar strength. When that US dollar strength disappears, that could get slammed very hard and quickly by the yen. So we'll see if this holds. This 145 is a key level, absolutely key level, as I said earlier. And the CAD and obviously the US dollar move together. So you can see here, we're kind of touching that level. Yeah, CAD's not made anywhere near as much progress against the yen than the US has. So good looking resistance level. But again, I wouldn't get greedy if you're going to short it. Wait for a reversal alert. Drop down M15. you would have had a reverse alert on this morning there in Asia, but it's in Asia. So you've not had a reverse alert on this yet today. You may have got one there, but you're about to get one in a minute. So there's a potential reversal coming in now. But again, don't be greedy. Look at ADR and look at how much is hitting ADR at the moment. We're finding it very hard to get to our average daily ranges at the minute. So don't get greedy. ADR's all the way down there. Yeah. If you just try and take out that low or maybe that high. Yeah. As a short and assume that we're going to go range bound in the same way as we did there. Look. Difficult, very difficult to call anything at the minute because there's no fundamentals coming out that are going to make a massive difference. We've got no volume in the market, literally being run by the algos at the minute. So how do you determine your lot size when trading the US 30 and the DAX? Well, it depends how there's lots of ways. Brian, out the NAS long. Good man. Oh, you held today, didn't you? Mind you, that is the first reason you've had to get out. So, yeah. One flag break today. That's all we've had. There's lots of ways to determine lot size. But if you're going to use a percentage risk, obviously, your lot size is based on your stop loss. If you're not using a stop loss, then just pick a lot size that is roughly what you would want to risk if you got hedged. So if you're talking about not using stops and looking at this hedging strategy, it's kind of you need to put it in a strategy tester and test it. So I've come to these conclusions. So roughly these lot sizes will get me hedged to roughly $1,000 risk. So I will never be more than roughly $1,000 in the hole. So the worst case scenario, if all four of these hedged on the same day and locked in a max loss day on hedge, it would be 4% of my account. But you can calculate it how you like, obviously. It's up to you. Play around. Stick it in the strategy tester. Use 10 lots, 5 lots, 15 lots, 25 lots, 50 lots, and see what it does. If it's losing too much or making too much, reduce and increases accordingly. And it depends on your broker as well. It depends on your account currency as well. So I'm trading a US dollar account here, and obviously the indices are traded in US dollars. If you're trading a pound account, your lot size is going to be completely different because your pound account will be converted into US before it's converted into ticks. So it's all different. So you really, really need to put it in a strategy tester. And that's what I keep saying. You know, when you go into the strategy tester, set up the test so that it's the same conditions as you will be trading. If it's a prop account, use whatever the deposit of the prop account is and what the currency of the prop account is. If it's your account and you're trading in pound, not US dollars, set it up as that because that makes a difference to the lot size. So just replicate your trading conditions. And then you won't have a problem. And test. Always be testing. All yen pairs have a negative correlation to the US dollar. No. Think about that. How could possibly that be true? If the US dollar yen can move in one direction, how can it be negatively correlated? Doesn't make sense. The yen will move in its own. The US dollar can rally and the yen can rally at the same time, and they often do. And they often will go opposite. Yeah. Right, that's all I got for you today. Anything else you need, let me know. And just talking about correlation, correlation doesn't really make any difference when the fundamentals kick in either. So if you get two news events which cause a rally in the euro and a rally in the US within the same day, obviously the normal correlations won't work out. So a bull against a bull equals a range. So the correlations do change as well with fundamentals, which is why, you know, I have things like the bias scorecard on the website. So the fundamentals will, at the end of the day, create the overall directional bias. But these biases will change depending on whether the fundamentals come out positive or negative for them. So US dollar news will affect the yen pairs. Yeah, US dollar news affects every pair because it's the world's currency. Everything's crossed against the US dollar, isn't it? So yeah, everything. But everything, all US dollar. FOMC affects every currency. The reason it affects every currency is when you get a push in the US dollar, to make that push happen, what do you need? Money. Where do you get money from? Other currencies. Yeah. So when there's a rally in the US dollar off of the FOMC, the reason the other pairs move is because people are pulling currencies out to pump them into the US dollar, or they are pulling money out of the US dollar and pumping it into the rest. So people see things flying up. Wow, look at the speed of that pound movement. No, that pound movement is caused by people pulling money out of the US dollar and placing it into the pound while they're waiting to decide where to put it next, liquidating their assets or their currencies. Everything is correlated. Everything is across. Yeah. So when a US dollar moves, like if there's news on the CAD and the CAD drops, the CAD yen pumps. Yeah. Doesn't it? The CAD Swiss also pumps. The pound CAD dumps because it depends whether the cross is that side or that side, whether it's the base or the cross currency. Everything is related in this industry because there's only a finite amount of M2 money supply and cash supply. So if you want to buy a crap load of US dollars, you need to liquidate other assets to buy it, which is why the stock market moves inversely to the US dollar. Because if you want to buy a load of stocks, you buy them in US dollar. So when the stock market rallies, the US dollar drops because people are pulling money out of US dollar and placing it into stock assets, and vice versa, which is why I say, you know, when you look at the US dollar here and you see it pushing up, not really doing anything at the moment, but that big strong movement there made the US indices go up. Yeah. And vice versa. When it goes the other way, the US indices will come down, basically, because they're correlated they're inversely correlated. It's just mechanics. All it is mechanics of, you know, somebody phones up and says, I want to buy a load of Amazon. They go, no problem. How much do you want to buy? 10 million. Okay. Have you got 10 million US dollars in your bank account? Yes. Okay. I will convert those into US dollar stocks. What happens to that $10 million? It disappears out the supply chain into Amazon's pocket. So the US dollar drops by 10 million. All movement up and down, which is why all the crosses move up and down. It's all very simple, but very complicated. Right, I'll leave it there. Anything you need, let me know. I will be back on Wednesday, 2:20 for the US session. I'll be back Wednesday morning for the normal session as well for the Frankfurt. Anything you need, I'll be in Telegram. Obviously, I'll see how these play out today. Hopefully, these are going to drop a little bit more and I can get out of these two shorts. But I'm not here tomorrow. I'm not here on Thursday. So back on Wednesday for normal sessions. Anything you need to want to have a look at in the live rooms, obviously just let me know in Telegram or DM me and I can cover them in the live rooms. But other than that, I will, or leave it in the comment section below, obviously. Other than that, hopefully have a good day tomorrow. Be aware of the news tomorrow, Australian dollar and CPI for the CAD. So we're going to have a lot of CAD movement tomorrow. We got a lot of retail for the US dollar in the afternoon. This is all pre-market open as well. So we might have a bit of a whippy open tomorrow because all the volume may well have already been liquidated by the time the market opens. So lots of movement tomorrow morning. We've got the pound, we've got the Aussie, we've got the CAD and the US. So tomorrow, fingers crossed, we actually get some ADRs and we get some movement. So be aware of all that. And then before I come on Wednesday, we've got the New Zealand dollar rates coming out, but I'll obviously be posting about all this in Telegram anyway. So, all right. So have a good day tomorrow. Anything you need, let me know. And I will obviously deal with. Other than that, I will see you guys on Wednesday. So have a good day.